when so many reputable analysts are saying things are about to get wild, they're usually onto something. One analyst in particular says the moment has arrived. What's he talking about? He's referring to a signal that's already fired, and I'll break it down for you at the start of the video. Historically, this signal has always meant things are about to heat up. Now, he's not guaranteeing it'll happen today or tomorrow, but if you take a step back and look at the chart, it's pretty clear something big is brewing. Isn't it wild how time just flies when things are going great? If you're an XRP holder, you know exactly what I mean. Sure, we've been moving sideways for most of the year, but let's not overlook the big picture. XRP hit an all-time high after more than 7 years. Not to mention, we've massively outperformed the rest of the market, especially when you look at the top 100 coins by market cap. We're sitting pretty right now, and honestly, that's not something we've been able to say for most of the last 5 years, but here we are. As of now, XRP is at $2.17, and Bitcoin is sitting at $105,756. Yesterday, we got a little tease. XRP touched $2, and Bitcoin hit $107,401.00. At the time I'm recording this, the prices are trending down a bit, but honestly, if they're lower by the time you're reading this, it's not worth freaking out about. Seriously, there's no need to stress over it. I'll dive into the details in a bit, but for now, let's keep things in perspective. It's been a solid run. Check out this post from chart analyst Tech Dev. He shared it with his 532,000 followers on X saying, "It's here, the launch signal that fires once every 4 to 5 years. If you're looking for tops, perfect." Well, I'm not looking for tops, at least not right away, but hey, the fact that some people are, that kind of makes sense. If folks aren't feeling super bullish yet, maybe that's actually a good sign. After all, that kind of sentiment often comes right before those massive bull runs we all love to see. Of course, he's charting Bitcoin here, and honestly, that's fine. I get it. Bitcoin drives the market, and we all know alt season comes right after. That's why this is so important. What, you think this is going to be the first time the signal doesn't work? I highly doubt it. People always say this time is different, but let's be real. How often is it really different? I'm thinking it's not. Here's a post from chart analyst Mustache about altcoins. Can we please dump this Bitcoin dominance chart so altcoins can finally take off? It shouldn't be much longer, in my opinion. This is just one example from a reputable analyst sharing this view. There are plenty of others saying the same thing. Bitcoin dominance has been climbing for what feels like forever, as you can see on the chart here, but let's be real. It can't keep going like this indefinitely. At some point, it's going to break down. Right now, a lot of chart analysts seem to agree on the same thing, and honestly, when that happens, they're usually spot on. So I didn't bother pulling up a ton of other examples to prove the point. I know I'm kind of all over the place here. But the main takeaway is this: when the breakdown happens, whether it's today, tomorrow, next week, or next month, it's coming soon. And when it does, you know what happens next. Altcoins go absolutely wild. That's the exciting part. I'm fully expecting XRP to be one of the big winners in that scenario. It just feels so obvious, though. All right, guys, do you remember that post from the blockchain backer? I'm guessing most of you have seen it by now. So what we're looking at here is the Coinbase stock price. That's the red and green chart. Then overlaid on top is the bright green chart, which represents Total 3. Now, for those who don't know, Total 3 tracks the top 125 altcoins by market cap, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. Pretty interesting, right? What the blockchain backer has been pointing out, this post is just one example, is how altcoins, specifically Total 3, are behaving in the crypto market. I'm pretty sure he could have pulled it off with just 2. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it works just as well for others. Either way, the real takeaway here is that once Coinbase starts gaining momentum, in this case with 3, it always seems to lag a little at first, but eventually catches up and follows the same pattern. But here's what he was pointing out in his post from June 26. Coinbase did take off, and it took off fast. It really started moving around June 17th. So we're looking at about 9 days of action there. After that, it was just a matter of waiting for the lag to catch up. And that's a big deal. Why? Because we're seeing other charts that are starting to show signs of life, and it's exciting to watch those signals come through. Did you catch this one? It's another update from the blockchain backer posted this afternoon, and he's focusing on the US Russell 2000. For those unfamiliar, the Russell 2000 tracks small cap stocks, and when it starts moving, it usually signals that market breadth is expanding. Pretty interesting, right? And he pointed this out, and I thought, that's fascinating. This is actually something we've been waiting to see happen. Now, we'll have to wait and see if it continues, but when you combine this with everything else we've been talking about here, it really starts to come together. There's so much alignment, so much confluence. It's wild. At this point, it feels like it's just a matter of time before we see a breakout. Here's an interesting take from the blockchain backer. He's pointing out where we are right now on the Bitcoin price chart. If you're following along visually, it's on the left side. So why is he feeling bullish? Well, as of this morning, July 1st, he shared his speculation. He believes we're heading toward Bitcoin's next big run up, potentially the blow off top that could mark Bitcoin's peak for years to come. What if that happens? Total market euphoria. Right now, though, we're in that accumulation phase, slow and steady, moving sideways with a bit of up and down that can shake some people's confidence. But according to him, this is all part of the process. Eventually, we'll break out of this range. And honestly, this aligns with what most analysts I follow are saying too. It may take some patience, but the next big move is coming. Let me tell you, when the analysts I follow all agree on something like to this level, they're almost always spot on. Seriously, it's like 99% of the time what they predict actually happens. Sure, the unexpected can happen now and then, but I'm not betting on that. I never do. So here's to good times ahead. That's what I'm banking on. Oh, just wanted to mention something real quick. In his latest video published yesterday, June 30th, he shared some interesting thoughts. He believes we're likely going to see things take off sooner rather than later. He's pretty reasonable though, and isn't saying it'll happen immediately, just that it's coming soon. That said, he did warn that in the short term, Bitcoin could drop to around $102,000. But here's the interesting part. If Bitcoin does dip to that range, he sees it as a good sign structurally and says it would actually prompt him to post something bullish on X. These kinds of patterns tend to play out in charts and aren't a sign of doom or anything like that. Oh, and he's not the only one saying this. Credible Crypto is also pointing out the same possibility. Here's a cool post from June 27th that's still super relevant. It features a Bitcoin price chart with an overlay from an Elliott wave theory book. The author mentions that a follower pointed out how this chart is a textbook example of a complex correction ending with a triangle as a Y wave, right out of Frost and Prechter's Elliott wave principle on page 53. They even added the book's image on the chart for reference, which is pretty awesome. What really stands out here is the note about Bitcoin potentially dropping a bit lower, somewhere in the $100,000 to $102,000 range. He's been warning about this for days, but he's still super bullish, and for good reason. Two top analysts, blockchain backer and Credible Crypto, share similar thoughts on what could happen in the short term, which is exactly what I mentioned at the start of this video. Even with Bitcoin trending down closer to $105,000 as I'm recording this, it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Oh, by the way, I think I forgot to say the time earlier. Did I? Honestly, when I say I have brain fog, I'm not kidding. Anyway, it's 9:52 p.m. Central Time as I'm recording this. I may have already mentioned it, but let's roll with it. And here's something interesting. He just reposted what I shared with you earlier. That update came in this evening at 5:02 p.m. Central Time. He's been warning about this for days, but he's still super bullish, and for good reason. Two top analysts, blockchain backer and Credible Crypto, share similar thoughts on what might happen in the short term. That's exactly what I was talking about at the start of the video. Even with Bitcoin trending down, getting closer to $105,000 as I'm recording this, it's really not a big deal, even if it happens. Oh, by the way, did I mention the time? Sorry, I've been a bit scatterbrained today. Seriously, brain fog is real. Anyway, right now it's 9:52 p.m. Central Time. Pretty sure I said that earlier. Maybe I didn't. Do you ever get moments like this? Oh, and one more thing. He actually reposted what I just shared with you. That update came in earlier this evening at 5:02 p.m. Central Time. He's saying if this pattern plays out on Bitcoin, we could see something similar on Ethereum. Maybe one more month of sideways movement, then things really take off. Sounds exciting, right? The main reason I wanted to share this is that he's pretty confident this is about to happen. And not just for Bitcoin and Ethereum, he thinks XRP and other cryptos could follow the same trend. If he's right, we could be looking at alt season this summer, even if it's as late as August. Wow. Here's the thing. This isn't something we normally expect to happen. Usually the action kicks off in the fourth year of every market cycle. That's when the crypto market gets way more exciting. The other 3 years, not so much. But if this plays out now, it's definitely out of the ordinary. That's why they have that same sell-off, and it might happen again. It's nothing to stress about. I'd never do that anyway. Personally, I just hang on through everything because it's the only way I'm completely sure I won't mess it up by overreacting. Setting that aside, though, I get the argument being made here. I see the point. And look, if things really start taking off, XRP and everything else are going to follow. That's why I keep saying, honestly, I've been saying it a lot lately. Any day now, you could wake up and it could just take off. It really could. It's not as far-fetched as it might seem. We don't spend most of our time in that kind of environment. Those moments are pretty rare. I've been around for over 7.5 years now, and honestly, it's only been a small fraction of the time that things have felt like this. But here we are in one of those moments where you wake up and think, ugh, seriously? And then here comes this. Let's talk about the XRP/BTC chart shared by Credible Crypto. He even threw in a meme from Lord of the Rings, or as some might jokingly call it, Dork Quest, you know the one. Gandalf standing there with his staff shouting, "You shall not pass." Classic, right? Anyway, looking at the chart, you can see XRP bumping up against this resistance line. It's hit that line 4 times now. I'm not exactly a chart expert, but I do know that when a certain level gets tested over and over, or whether it's on the upside or downside, it tends to weaken over time. So the whole "you shall not pass" thing, yeah, it's probably going to pass eventually. Now imagine when XRP shoots up into that pink zone. Oh boy, it's going to be wild. We're talking face melting levels of excitement. It's going to be pretty awesome, honestly. And this is exactly why I get where guys like Credible Crypto are coming from when they predict XRP could peak somewhere between $20 and $30. I get it. And honestly, I'm not sure what's going to happen either. I really don't know. I'm not one for making price predictions, but hey, it's not unreasonable to speculate. It's definitely within the realm of possibility, I'd say. Still, nothing's going to stop me. I'm moving forward no matter what. I'm XRP and I'm here to keep going. Here's a fresh XRP/BTC chart from XRP and it's looking exciting. According to the analysis, XRP seems primed for a big move. The weekly candle has broken out of the long-standing falling wedge pattern on the XRP/BTC chart, which has been in place since December. If this plays out, XRP could potentially see a 370% surge, hitting the next major resistance and take profit zone around $10 cents or more. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes even higher. XRP has already outperformed Bitcoin this cycle, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. In fact, it's poised to widen that gap even more. Mark my words. XRP is far from done. Check out this update from chart analyst Mikey Bull on the XRP/USD chart. XRP is still gearing up for a big move, and if you've been following along, the message stays the same. Optimism and confidence in XRP's potential remain strong. The range for XRP has been tightening all year since it hit its all-time high. It's been stuck in this range for a while, but let's be real, it can't stay there forever. When it finally breaks out, it's going to be big. Check out this post from chart analyst Zune. Looks like XRP is peaking. Seems like we're on the same page here. Take a look at the XRP USD chart. It's interesting to see how things are playing out. Earlier in the afternoon, it was starting to break out, but it's pulled back again, moving in sync with the market. This is exactly what I've been saying. We're at that point where it feels like any day now it could take off. The odds of it going past the apex without breaking out, pretty slim, unless, of course, someone's got their trend lines all wrong, but that doesn't usually happen. Honestly, who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. But I'll say this, it really does feel like we're in that moment where you could wake up one day and boom, it's happening. Here's a post from chart analyst Malleus about XRP/USD. Yesterday afternoon, he mentioned XRP was teasing a breakout and just waiting for the volume to follow. Well, yesterday wasn't the breakout day. No big deal. Still, it was a nice way to wrap up the first half of the year. You can tell Malleus really gets it. We're so close to that moment. Here's a post from chart analyst Cryptos, and he's definitely on board with the sentiment. He thinks it's time for XRP to regain market dominance. And let's be real, he doesn't say that every day. Seriously, he doesn't. Have you noticed how everyone seems to be agreeing on this? That's not something you see often. Normally, analysts have all kinds of different takes, but right now it feels like they're all saying, yep, this is happening. And that's a big deal because this kind of alignment isn't the norm. Now, let's be honest. No one knows the exact moment it's going to pop off. It could be tomorrow, next week, next month, or maybe even after the summer. Nobody can say for sure. But here's the thing. They see the setup, they see how this is unfolding, and they're confident it's going to happen. And honestly, I can't imagine they're all wrong. These analysts aren't out here calling bullish moves 24/7, 365 So when they do a line like this, it really stands out. Here's a post from chart analyst Crypto Wizard. What do you think? Will it play out? XRP has been moving sideways for quite a while now, and it's starting to look a lot like the summer of 2017. Back then, after a long period of sideways movement, it broke out with a massive parabolic run. The idea is that history might repeat itself with a longer consolidation leading to an even bigger breakout. Hey, what do you think? Are we in for another explosive move? Let's discuss. And excuse my little coughing moment earlier. Almost made it through without one. Hey everyone, check this out. Take a look at the XRP/USD chart, the purple and green lines right here. Now, what's really interesting is the red line on top, which is a fractal overlay of the XRP price chart from 2017. Pretty wild, right? The patterns are so similar, almost identical in some ways. Now, if this plays out the same way, what could it mean? Well, if the timing somehow lines up, and I know that's a big if, we could be looking at XRP taking off a couple weeks into July. Can you imagine? It's like history repeating itself. The similarities are just too close to be pure coincidence. You could check out this post from chart analyst Lee Greg Crypto. He's pointing out something interesting about XRP. He calls it the hidden pump right under our nose. What if the opportunity really is that simple? Now, I've got to say, Lee decided to have a bit of fun with this one. He flipped the chart upside down. So instead of the chart going down, which we usually see as bad, it actually shows the price going higher. Pretty clever, right? He's drawing attention to a similar pattern we saw back in 2017, a little wedge forming. And well, we all know what happened next. So here's the deal. First, it skyrocketed, then it leveled out for about 6 months. Sound familiar? That's exactly what's happening now. We're living it. This is phase 2, the big leap. That's why the target is set at $27.00 with some serious double-digit action ahead. In the past 2 market cycles, XRP had 2 separate surges spaced about 6 months apart. And here we are again, right on schedule. Will history repeat itself? Maybe, just maybe. Here's a post from chart analyst Steph is crypto. Big news for XRP fans. Steph says the final wave for XRP is starting now, and he's backing it up with some compelling points. He's highlighted the 6 months of sideways action after XRP's first big jump in 2017, arguing that we're seeing the same pattern play out again right now. It's the same story all over. XRP isn't going to stay stuck in this range forever. It's going to move. And let's not forget, the fundamentals are stronger than ever. To me, it seems pretty obvious that XRP has a high probability of entering beast mode. Of course, no one knows for sure, but the odds look incredibly favorable. So let's hang tight, stay a bit more patient, and see how it all plays out. There we have it. I made it through another post, fresh from the factory, done and dusted.